This is your host, Amanda Fowler, and you're listening to Just Mans, the podcast, the place where I empower you to be who you are, say what you want, and do what you dream. Here you'll find candid conversations surrounding the complexities of life, everything from womanhood, career, and self-growth to friendships, relationships, and opinions that feel a bit taboo. But I'm not just here to offer you tips and tricks to figuring it all out. Fuck that. I'm here to talk about it all. The shit that nobody wants to talk about. To air the laundry without it feeling dirty. Think of this as conversations with cool people and brain dumps that I decided to share with you instead of my journal. Because oversharing is kind of my love language. And if it's yours too, we'll get along just fine. Okay, I'm sitting down with Julia in her beautiful little apartment. I literally walked in here and I'm just walking around like, where is this from? Where is this from? Where'd you get this? Oh my God, I love this.
I love it in here so much.
And you were just telling me your dad is an architectural salvage. What is it?
Yeah, he has like an architectural salvage business. So he's all about like maintaining the historical like structure of homes.
So you have an appreciation for like vintage and history.
Love it. Love crown molding. Love like old doors and windows and clawfoot tubs and yeah.
I love a clawfoot tub.
Oh yeah, my dad has those.
Oh,
yeah.
So your house growing up was really old?
Yeah, and it's beautiful. I grew up in the same house that my parents are in now. And
oh, really?
Yeah, and it's stunning. They've obviously made like a ton of, adjustments over the years and stuff like that. But our house is so pretty. It's this really pretty brick house in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and in this like historic neighborhood. So,
what was it like growing up in Kalamazoo?
I honestly loved my childhood. Like my childhood was really great. It was kind of. Did you ever see the movie like Now and Then?
No, what's that?
Oh my God, it's like such a good childhood movie. Oh my God, I love it so much. But I had such a great childhood in a sense of like going out and like riding my bikes with like neighborhood friends, like being out.
Were you in like a suburb? Is Kalamazoo a suburb?
There's suburbs of Kalamazoo, but I was like in like a couple minutes from downtown Kalamazoo. So I was a little bit more in like the city-ish area, but it's a pretty small city. It's not super like lively like Denver, but it's really diverse. Had a lot of kids in my neighborhood. My parents are amazing parents, like had a great childhood. Really can't complain.
And you had an older sister?
Yeah. Had an older sister. She's 3.5 years older. She literally just bought a house back in the same neighborhood that we grew up in that she used to nanny at. It's like this stunning home. It's like a mansion up on a hill, basically.
What's like your favorite piece that you have in your home that's like vintage or has a story behind it or historic? Like what's your favorite knick-knack, trinket?
Honestly, I feel like either this chest right here that I loved. I literally got it when my parents helped move me from LA to Denver. We got it at Habitat for Humanity, which is just, there's sometimes not a lot of great stuff in there. Literally $60. My dad restained it for me and it opens up and it's like a beautiful chest.
I love the keyhole.
Yeah, it's so pretty. And I love the little like kitchenette table.
That was the first thing I said when I walked in here. I'll have to put some B-roll in there of what we're talking about.
It's so good. Yeah, this woman was like, let me thrift some things for you.
Who's doing the service?
Her Instagram is Holl Be Good, like HOLLB GOOD. And she'll like, if you're like, hey, I'm looking for this or I'm looking for that, like she'll thrift things for you and then like you pay her to, but like honestly it wasn't super expensive. Like stunning things. Like this is actually from her too.
Love.
Yeah,
you have such a vibe and I feel like that's what drew me to you on social media because I followed you for a bit, like a few years now, but we didn't,
because we met through
like, Vibe, kind of, right?
Vibe, but like I'd met you once through Taylor, but like
so I followed you for a bit. But I think what like really drew me to you is like your confidence, your style, your like self-expression, the fact that you're like, I am who I am and I'm not going to pretend to be anything else. So I want to ask you, were you always like that as a child? Like, where did that come from for you? Because I think a lot of people too say similar things about me and I feel like they're always curious about where does the confidence come from. So for you,
I would say honestly as like a little kid 100%. Like I was like this stereotypical younger kid, like wild child, like dirt on her face. Like we have so many home videos and my sister and I are very different. My sister's very like type A, a little bit more like reserved, definitely like older sister vibes. And I'm like the wild child that like doesn't give a fuck. And we have so many home videos where like she's in the background like making her lunch and like organizing her like binder, and I'm like in the camera like nah, like screaming, like very just.
But you're an Aquarius, right?
Yes.
That is so me too. Like I'm the same. My brother, like we have
Weirder
home
the
videos.
better.
Yes, and we have home videos where like my brother is in the camera like, "Hi, mommy, I'm 3," and I'm like, "Turn the camera around."
Yeah,
I'm looking at the screen.
Literally that. Like that was me as a kid. And then at some point my confidence got completely shattered.
Oh.
And that was a journey.
Around what age?
I would say around 13. Around 13, everything changed for me. I was in like, or I would say like 6th grade was when it started to change. I went to like a great elementary school that was really diverse. Like kids, there was like a mixture of kids from like different socioeconomic statuses. And so there wasn't this like, we cared what we wore. Like I was the kid that like, you know, the Adidas sneakers with like the 3 stripes.
Yeah.
Well, I was the kid that was like, well, I would rather take the money that like we get every year to like spend on new clothes and get the Payless shoes with the 2 stripes and then like get more. Like I didn't care about name brand shit. Like I still don't. Like I don't give a fuck about that shit.
Yeah.
And in 6th grade, I changed schools, and the vibe was really different. It was definitely more white, and people cared a lot more about like the clothes they were wearing.
Was it public school?
Yeah, it was a public. Always went to a public school. But then like 7th, 8th grade, like when I started to go through puberty and like my body started to change. My sister's 5'11", blonde hair, blue eyed, like. I'll have to show you a picture.
No, she's not.
Like, could not be more
You're
opposite.
kidding me.
Yeah, she literally, like...
Is she tan, pale?
She's tanner, but, like, we definitely have different, like, coloring to ourselves.
Whoa.
She literally was, like, a Victoria's Secret model growing up. So, like, everybody was like, that's what you're going to look like. And I started getting called potential. I had potential to look like my sister. But I was, like, short, curvy, chubby, like... Yeah.
People literally said that to your face. Yeah, potential.
My bully in high school called me potential because I had potential to look like my sister. I ended up punching him in the face at a football game, though.
It was a guy?
It was a guy. Yeah. And I just started, like, kids started calling me fat and, like, you know, just making fun of me because all of my friends were teeny tiny and I looked very different. And yeah, I really started to, like, lose my spark and my confidence and was just like, okay, for me to be like liked, loved, and like popular, I need to like fit into what all the girls that are getting attention look like. So that was like thin. And so then I had an eating disorder for 10 years.
And it started in high school?
It started in high school. Yeah. And it started when I was like 13, 14. Started off as like bulimia and like doing all these fad diets and going on diet pills and laxatives and diuretic, like
diet pills.
Oh, like I shouldn't have been able to buy them from Walgreens because you have to be 18 or older, but I was getting them at like 15 and they were just like, it was speed.
Yeah. What the fuck is a diet pill?
It's just speed. I was like, I would be jittery and I would like eat 500 calories a day and take like this green tea diet pill. And I'm like, why do I feel like shit? Like, why am I anxious all the time? And why am I like...
Were your parents aware of that?
Not at all.
Yeah.
So there were like my sister and like other women in our family also struggled with like eating disorders, and my parents were more aware of hers because you could visibly see it on her. Whereas like I did a really, really great job at hiding it. I think for me, it was like my parents were always like, oh, you're the easy kid. Like, you're so happy and blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, inside I'm like dying. But like, I didn't want to be I didn't want to be a burden to my parents. So I just hid everything. And honestly, my mom and family didn't find out that I had an eating disorder until I was 24 and started going through recovery. Yeah.
So it was bulimia, and then
it kind of shifted into like binge eating disorder, and then like orthorexia, like obsessively clean eating, like counting almonds and like putting like Tic Tacs and gum in my like Fitness Pal, like 5 calories of like so rigid.
Dude, the
like,
MyFitnessPal, like
it like ruined my brain.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I could tell you how many calories was in every single thing.
Everything.
And during my recovery, I luckily like. I could, if I really thought about it, like certain things like fruit and veggies and stuff like that. But like now, because at one point I was like, can I unlearn that? Like, can can the things that I know, can that go away? And luckily over time, I've just stopped giving a shit.
Yeah.
But dude, it was so obsessed. It was all through college. And I didn't seek recovery until I was out in LA at 24.
So in high school is when it started, but you said you were a very confident kid. You said you also kind of appeared still that way.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that? Because I relate to that of like the internal reality versus what's going on the outside.
Yeah. I was always like the funny girl. I
Yeah.
was like the one that like, I think that's why a lot of people in my life, especially from growing up, have always thought I was really extroverted. But I think it was because I was always putting on a show. I was always like the funny girl and like, yeah, the fun one. I always had great energy. And not that it was necessarily always like an act, but it was like I knew that's how people saw me and wanted me to be. So it was like
a performance.
I had to play up that.
Yeah.
And as like I got older and became like acknowledged that like I'm a little bit more introverted, I've masked a lot of my ADHD growing up to like kind of fit what, you know, regular non-neurodivergent people were like. People were kind of like, oh, you're not as like loud and boisterous as like you once were. And I am with people that I'm close with and trust,
Right.
like my close-knit people. But like if I'm in a room of people that I don't know, I'm not fucking talking to anyone.
No, why waste your energy?
Like I'm just like, I don't know you guys. No. But
No,
like with
thank
my
you.
friends or like with you, like
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like we
yeah,
are very
yeah.
just like genuine with each other. But yeah, it was just something that I feel like it was protective for me to be this kind of outwardly confident type of person because internally I was just crumbling, and I think it was just kind of what held everything together, to be honest.
When do you think your ADHD, like when do you remember, oh, something's different for me?
So I got diagnosed with ADHD at like 8 or 9.
Oh.
Yeah. So my mom's a pediatrician, and luckily like mental health, mental illness, all of those things were never like a taboo topic in my household. Like ADHD, anxiety, depression, like it was never something that we were made to feel bad about. So I'm so grateful that my mom kind of knew about those things.
That's amazing.
And didn't hesitate to get me tested. So I was like tested very early on. But I think back then in the 90s, ADHD was only tested or like was researched on like boys.
Yeah.
And so it looks very different for girls compared to boys.
What did it look like for you?
So I was a really great student. I was such a good student. And I think a lot of the time people think it's these like, you know, kids in class that are like, like wild and crazy. I held it together. I was a really good student. I had really good behavior. For me, when I got home though, it was like Tasmanian devil. Like I was just like, I would have really loud tantrums. I was really emotionally unregulated. I was a really emotional kid and really highly sensitive. And for me, it was like for schoolwork and stuff like that, like I would always get into arguments with my mom when we were doing math. She was reading to me, like she'd read a page and I'd be like, I need you to read it again. Like I don't remember any. Like I would have these like outbursts because I like wasn't paying attention, but I knew that I was supposed to, but I like physically couldn't allow myself to do it. And it's found that women that have ADHD are more likely to have eating disorders as well. It's like
Is it a control thing too, or like a?
Yeah, and I think for me, like eating disorders are this psychosocial disorder, so it can be genetic, it can be because of like other comorbidities, it can be because of fucking social media and like your environment. And so I think for me, it was a sense of control of like, well, I want to control these bullies. If I lose a bunch of weight, then they're not going to make fun of me anymore. And also it felt like a way for me to, when I was feeling like this emotional, like overwhelm bubbling to the surface, well, I could purge or I could focus on food or binge or whatever. And it would just kind of like numb everything.
That's so interesting to me because I've always said I'm a very neurotypical person, but when you were just explaining like you as a child, I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
That was me as a child. Like good student, the only one of my siblings. Like my sister definitely has ADHD and she had dyslexia growing up. And now she's like kind of dealing with that as an adult because it wasn't acknowledged as a kid. My brother, I feel like definitely had some like learning disability. I was always the kid that was like, oh, she's a good student. She gets her shit done. But if you ask my parents, I was always the difficult child. I was always the one who was too emotional, so loud, so just like we can't control her.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering like how, like, I don't know. I'm just wondering if that is, it's so different how it presents.
Oh, 100%. And I think people are really starting to realize that like ADHD compared to men and women looks so different. And now that like I'm an adult and I very much like understand my own ADHD and like the way my brain works, and like I have fidget spinners for me because like I literally can't.
Do those help?
Yes. I'm going to have to show you this fidget spinner this guy at the grocery store gave me. Like, it was the most random
Where,
thing.
Trader Joe's?
No, at Ideal Market down the street.
Oh.
And he was, like, handing them out to his new employees. And I was like, I love that you're handing out, like, fidget spinners. He's like, do you want one? And I was like, yes. And he, like, laser cuts them. It's like a 3D printer. But they're so helpful because I've just always, like, and it's not even this, like, I can't sit still. It's just this, like, internal, like, fidget that I have, but it's not this like hyperactivity that you see in like boys that are like, you know, shoving and pushing like growing up. Like I wasn't like that.
I think that's my 3-year-old.
Yeah.
He definitely has ADHD. But I'm like, I don't, at what age do you really like acknowledge it and support it in that way? You know what I mean?
And I think it's like, because everyone's like, oh, they're overdiagnosing and overprescribing. And like, I think to some degree, everybody is some type of like neurodivergent or has their own little quirks,
especially
and stuff like that.
In today's day and age where we're so distracted. I think it was interesting. I had somebody on a podcast and she talked about ADHD. She's like an ADHD coach. And she was saying that she believes, and this is like maybe just her opinion or a hot take, but she believes ADHD is a trauma response.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like it definitely could. Like, I feel like there's so many things we don't know.
Yeah.
And there's so many things like, what is it? DID type of disorder. It's like dissociative disorder where it's like multiple different personalities. It's due to trauma as a kid. And it's like, I don't underestimate the things that can happen to your brain as a kid due to trauma. I
also think social media can.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so grateful I didn't have social media in my childhood.
When did you get social media?
I don't think I was like a little MySpace girly.
Wait, were you?
Oh my God, like that. Oh yeah.
I was like on the
because you're like younger than me.
I'm younger than you, but I remember one of my friends had MySpace because she had an older brother.
Okay,
and he was on it, but we were towards the end. Like then it shifted to Facebook, and everyone was like, "Oh, Facebook."
And I got Facebook so you weren't allowed to have Facebook unless you had a college email. And that's how it started, was because it was supposed to be for like universities. But my senior year of high school had dual enrolled at the community college. So I had a college email. So my senior year, I was like, I'm on Facebook. Yeah.
Were you like one of the only ones?
I think there were like a couple other people, but I was just like, you bitches.
Okay, I need to know about MySpace though. Like, what is the lore with MySpace?
Dude, it was traumatizing. Traumatizing in the sense, also the light is just
sorry guys,
shifting.
if you're watching on YouTube, it's like dark light.
Yeah, the light is drastically changing.
That's okay. It's natural. We're natural, baby.
No, so on MySpace, you could have your top 8 friends. And like, you know how in text messages you can like put your top people that like you message or whatever? That's public on MySpace. So imagine in high school, you have the ability to choose your top 8 friends. And when things aren't good with certain friends, they demote you.
No.
So it's always moving and changing. So like you may be number 1 and then like you get in a fight and it's like now you're demoted to number 5. Like it was like the like 3-way call of like social media. And it was like, but I loved it. You could like pick a song. So when someone would come to your MySpace, like a song would play.
Yep. So you're you're getting welcomed into somebody's like aura.
Yeah. Your personality. And oh my God, I think that's what started my like obsession with like photos and social media. And like, I think I've always just been a little bit of like a personality.
Yes.
You know?
I kind of love the honesty of that though.
Yeah. Like
we're in a fight. You're number 6 now, bitch.
Oh yeah. No, it was like, it was brutal. It was brutal. But like I survived, you know?
What was your song playing?
It was probably, God, what was it at the time? It was probably honestly like Meredith Brooks, like I'm a bitch.
What's that?
Wait, you've never heard that song?
No. Should
Alexa,
I play it?
Play Meredith Brooks. Bitch. I think it's the name of the song. Alexa, turn volume to 5.
Is this it?
Yeah. You've never heard this song?
No. Who's Meredith Brooks?
She wasn't. It was like my parents loved this song.
Okay. How old were you when you had
Like 16. Or it was Ashley Simpson. Me like maybe.
What's Ashley Simpson's song?
Underneath. Oh, and she's like, I'm a bitch, I'm a lover. That's like the chorus.
Oh, wait. I think I know that then.
Alexa, stop. Yeah, no, Ashley Simpson was probably literally just played this on my story today, like La La. You make me wanna la la.
I don't know that
in
one
the
either.
kitchen. It was probably some like alternative, like I'm a different girl.
Yeah,
like
that's the Aquarius in you.
Yeah, my sister was very much like the Jessica Simpson.
What's her zodiac sign?
Cancer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
She's a Cancer. My dad's a Cancer. And she's very like, my sister and I always laugh because we're always like, I'm going to be like the crazy aunt that like brings her kids home and they're all like dirty. And like my kids go to the country club when they go to like my aunt, like Elise's. But like when they go to Aunt Juju's, they come back like disheveled and dirty.
Yep.
You know?
With like new crystals and shit. Yeah.
I'm like, let's pull tarot. And they're like,
She's like, we're 4.
Yeah, she's like, Aunt Juju pulled like our tarot cards today. Like that's gonna be the vibe. But yeah, I was just always like, I'm different. You know?
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a very like Aquarius.
Yeah, I still feel that though from you. Like I feel like that never leaves us.
No.
What was I even doing today? Oh, I was trying to find like a TikTok sound, and I'm like, I don't want to go scroll TikTok and see what everybody else is fucking using. I want to find my own.
Yeah.
Like I want to be different. But I want to go back about that story of you punching that guy in the face.
Oh yeah, his name was Michael Joyce. Okay.
Of course, his name is Michael Joyce.
He was
Michael Joyce.
He was so gross. First of all, you know how like, have you heard of like the new trend, like the rodent man trend, where it's like the new hot, but it's like the.
Like
the
rodent hot? Like dirty hot?
Yeah, but like the guy, like the actor from The Bear. Like he's like a rodent hot type of thing. This was Michael Joyce, but like not hot. He just like looked like a ferret with like sunken eyes. And he was such a fucking dick. And he was dating one of my like really good friends. And he would literally like, I'd be walking down the hallway and he'd like call me fat ass and like all the, like he was just like off the fucking wall.
Who
like,
the fuck raised this man?
Literally, like just a fucking dick. And at a sporting was not my at a football game. I was a big sports girly. At a football game, I went and got 2 hot chocolates for me and my friend from like the concession stand. And I'm walking back and I'm walking past like him and his group of friends and like some of my girlfriends. But at this time, I started to like hang out with like a different group of friends from a different school because I was like, fuck all of you.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm going to branch out.
Yep.
And as I walked by him, he was like, 2 hot chocolates wasn't enough for you, something like that. And I'm just like, you know what? And so my best friend Sarah, I look at my friend Sarah and I'm like, hold these. And I hand her my hot chocolates, throw my purse down, walk up to him and I'm like, I fucking hate you, Mike, or like, fuck you, Mike. And I punch him in the face and he turns his head. I like hit him right here. And I like grabbed my hot chocolates and like walked away. That following Monday, I got called into the counselor's office. Her name was Patricia Carlin. She actually passed away this like past year. She loved me. She was obsessed with me. She was like such an amazing like school counselor.
I love that.
I explained to her the situation. She was like, hey, we heard there was, you know, an altercation at the football
Who told?
I don't know.
Him?
Yeah, probably. And I told her the situation. I thought I was going to get like detention or get in trouble. And she like looked at him and she was like, I think you owe her an apology. And
love her.
He apologized. And he apologized like in the meeting. My grandpa sent me $75 and like this letter of telling me like, so proud of you. And yeah, he like stopped fucking with me after that.
See,
sometimes violence is the answer.
No,
but like sometimes I'm like, bro, like you think you can just.
Well, I'm experiencing it now with Lennox too. This whole like era.
Oh, yeah.
We were talking
That's
about
what made
this.
me
Like,
think of it.
We were talking about like when we first hung out, we went on a walk and we were talking about like gentle parenting and how that's a whole thing and how people don't discipline anymore. And I'm like, the other day I was talking to Lennox and he's like, yeah, you know, some people are mean, like this kid Evan and this kid Ames. And I'm sorry, I'm just gonna like name them. And I'm like, yeah, Lennox.
Shitty kids.
Exactly. I'm like, yeah, they are. And you know what? Like, I'm so sorry, but like, that's life. You're going to experience a lot more of those people.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, mommy, when they hit me, I can hit them back. And I'm like, well, yeah, you can. Like,
honestly, like I like want my child to feel like they can stand up for themselves.
That's the thing.
There's a difference between being and my thing is he bullied me for so long, and I got to the point where I was like, fuck this, I need to like take this into my own.
Well, and sometimes like especially kids, I feel like don't listen until you almost are just like, look at me, stop this. And I think again, like if you're telling somebody, like I'd always tell Lennox, like, hey, walk away, say stop, I don't like that, and go find a teacher. And that's what he does. But he's like, mommy, if he keeps hitting me, I just have to hit him back because like he won't stop. And I'm like, you have to.
Yeah, I totally agree. And not that Mike hit me, but like he hit me emotionally.
Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. He provoked you.
100. I was like, bitch, you had this coming.
Absolutely. And he probably knew it.
And I think like years later, like this was like, I heard something about like his fiance had like left him. And I was like, karma.
What is he up to now? Do you know?
I don't know. I should like look him up on Facebook or something. He was just a fucking dick.
Where did you come up with the name Fit Fat and all that?
My Aunt Marisa actually helped me. She's such a fabulous writer. Everybody says in my family, like, I'm becoming Aunt Marisa, which like is we call her badass Aunt Marisa. And she's just this like goes to the beat of her own drum, like gives zero fucks. And we were just talking one day. At this point, I like had a blog. I had like my Instagram going. At this point, I was like really diety though. Like I was like thinking.
Oh, you started off as a diet?
Girl, I was a Beachbody coach and like was like, this week I'm going on like a 3-day cleanse. Who wants to join me? Like, yeah, it was like if you were to go back.
The evolution I love.
Of my social media. It was like so many befores and afters. Like I just lost like 3 pounds this week. Yeah, because I'm having diarrhea daily, like from this fucking cleanse. Yeah, so it was like really bad. But she like helped me come up with the name, and yeah, she probably like pay her royalties or something like that.
I love that name so much.
Yeah, because we were just like, what's something that's like catchy and like fun, and like I had always been called fat growing up, and I was like, you know what, let me take my power back and like know that like fat is not this like negative connotation. It's literally just a word.
Can you talk about that actually?
Yeah,
because I think we live in a world where like people are so sensitive to words, and honestly, like I get it. Words mean a lot to me. Mm-hmm. Like I'm a writer. Matters. It does. But I also feel like, where is the line? How do we like reclaim things? Just talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, like I had to really unlearn this like internalized, like fat phobia, not internalized because I never existed in a fat body, but like fat phobia and like this idea that being in a fat body or being fat was like the worst fucking thing that could, like it was truly my worst fear. Like, oh my God, like, well, like I would say things like, well, at least I'm not like fat like her. Like this is what like my internal dialogue looked like. And going through my recovery and just learning that like, yo, fat bodies like still deserve the same love, attention. Like, people love them. They're hard workers. Like, I had to really unlearn and unpack all of these things that I had kind of thought about people that existed in fat bodies and like my own biases and my own shit. And I'd gotten to the point where I was just like, yo, we all have fat. Like, we need fat to survive. Some people just exist in fat bodies, and it's literally nothing that they can do. Like fat bodies exist just like skinny bodies. And so for me, I started to just look at fat as like a descriptive word, like skinny, tall, short. Like it doesn't necessarily need to have this negative connotation. And as I started to like do the work that I do in eating disorder recovery and body image and stuff like that, I've started using fat as just in conversation. Like, oh, there's this activist and she is in a fat body and stuff. And people will kind of like be like, wait, did you just call her fat? You know, like kind of like you can see like them kind of be
uncomfortability.
Yeah. And I think just the more that we can use it in just normal conversation as like, hey, like it's a descriptive word and there's fat activists and all of these things, like it just removes this like negative connotation because we use it to like harm people. We use it to like cut people down. And truly, like when people call me like fat online, like I just giggle because I'm just like, they think it hurts. And I'm like, unfortunately, that doesn't really work anymore. But thank you.
Yeah.
And it's also like, I hate the whole, like when I was younger, I would be like, oh, I'm fat. And they'd be like, but you're beautiful. And it's like, or it's like, oh, but you have such a pretty face. And it's like, you can be fat and beautiful. Yeah. Like it's not one or the other. Or it's like, I don't need to be reminded like that I'm beautiful. And they'd be like, but like, you're not really fat and but like all of these types of things. Yeah. It was just like, I just felt like I really needed to take my power back from like my childhood.
I'm curious because actually there's two things I want to mention. What is your take? Have you heard people being like, I don't agree with making like size inclusive activewear because like why are we promoting like big? Have you heard that?
This is the type of shit that pisses me off because you can't make these people happy. Because for instance, I think it was like Nike that had some like plus size mannequins in their store. Maybe it was like one of these like large activewear brands, and so many people were up in arms. They're like, you're promoting obesity and like all this shit. Yet when you see a fat person online, the comments are like, you need to fucking work out, like all these things. And then you see them in the gym and they're like, you're fucking disgusting. Like, it's like, what do you want? You want fat people to work out, but then you're upset when you see them in the gym and people are like, well, she's not working out hard enough. And it's like, you do realize that people work out not to just lose weight.
Also,
like,
what do you want them to do? You want them to just like work out naked? They can't have fucking activewear?
And it's like what? That like it somehow promotes obesity. It's like, no, it's just these people exist and they deserve to feel good in the clothing and it not be like frumpy and ugly. And like, I'm just, when I see like a fat bodied woman in the gym that's like wearing a cute activewear set, I'm like, yes, thank you. Like, I fucking love it. I just feel like it would have healed so much in me in my childhood to see women wearing the same thing straight bodied women were wearing and not feeling like shame about it. So that type of shit just like, it like makes me so mad because fat phobic people, like they say it's like about health. They're like, oh, but I care about your, I'm a fucking stranger on the internet. You don't care about my health. You just don't like looking at fat bodies. It makes you uncomfortable. And that's your own fucking shit.
That's kind of why I love what like Sports Illustrated is doing now.
Yes. And dude, so many white men are like, this is disgusting. And I'm like, oh, not everything is for like the male gaze. Like, fuck you. I
haven't seen any of that. Well, I don't like, I think I don't look at that shit.
It's like the comments of like women that aren't the stereotypical like Sports Illustrated bodies.
Well, it's like, what's her name? The Bird's Papaya.
Yeah, the Bird's Papaya. Ella Halikas is another one that like is in like a plus size, but she's like a size 14 or something.
Love the Bird's Papaya. I don't know.
I'm obsessed with her.
Well, and I don't know if anybody else was.
She's great.
Oh, you were on her podcast?
Yeah, she's awesome.
I love her. And I love that she's a mom and she's rocking her body post kids and she's just like, fuck it, this is me. But she's also so open on social media about how like she still struggles and like,
because we all do.
It's just so refreshing to see that. And then to see a conglomerate like Sports Illustrated be like, yep, I want to encourage this, I want to support this, I want to celebrate it. Like, that's healing to me. That makes me feel like, okay, I would be okay with having a girl in this world because of shit like that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like, I just think of me growing up in like 17 magazine and it was like, you know how it would be like what you should wear if like you're tall and skinny and like, and it was always like the curvy plus size girls were like in these like frumpy one pieces. And I was always just like, okay, if I'm in a bigger body, then I need to cover up. And I'm just like, I want to see women in larger bodies, like wearing thong bikinis and doing all of this stuff because like, I think a lot of the time, one, like it doesn't get as sexualized on like we were kind of talking about censorship before we started recording, but like I'll post a video of me in like a thong bikini just like walking on the beach and it'll get flagged for sexual content, but like someone in a straight bodied like thong bikini and like a like thin body doesn't get fucking flagged. And I'm like, make that make sense. Like my shit always
flagged
for like sexual explicitity. And I'm just like, I'm just walking down the beach. And I'm like, I have seen literal, like, what do you want me to do?
I've seen women's tits, skinny ass women's tits,
like buttholes on Instagram, where it's like girls are spread eagle, and I'm like, I literally see your anus, like, and I'm getting flagged for like, I'm literally just like looking for seashells.
Sally over here,
like, Make it make sense.
I died at your video. You're like, not me looking like a little toddler gremlin. Like,
No, literally, I didn't realize that I walked like that. It was really humbling. It was really like, why are my arms swinging like that?
Did you know someone was taking a video of you?
No.
I love that.
It was such a genuine, like, I was just like, and in my head, I'm just like, my butt probably looks so cute. Like, I'm walking into the, no, I literally am like marching like a little gremlin. Like,
it was so wholesome though. I love it.
Yeah, the swim. And then my sister messaged me. She was like, "You are literally mom." And I was like, "That is how my mom walks."
Oh,
like,
really?
I'm built exactly like my mom. Yeah.
It's so funny though. Like the older you get, you realize you are so much like your mom.
Oh,
I'm realizing that so much.
Oh yeah.
It's
like,
scary.
My sister and I used to like, my mom has like a kind of square, wider butt or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, she would always say like, I have a square butt. And now I'm like looking, I'm like, I think I have a square butt. Like, I think I have this like square butt now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I am becoming my mother.
Yep.
Yeah.
One question I want to ask you, because this always like, I like stumble over my words when this happens. Lennox is like, I mean, he's 3, so he's just literally has no filter, says whatever the fuck is on his mind.
Yeah.
And there have been situations where like he'll walk past a bigger man and be like, "Oh, mommy, that's a big man." And I'm like, yeah, like I just don't know what to say.
Yeah.
What would you say in that situation?
I think in those situations, one, like kids are, there's no like, it's not malicious, right?
Yes,
it's not
no.
malicious. It's literally, they're just calling it out. I think in those situations, it's really good to be like, yeah, like people come in all shapes and sizes. Like mommy's a little bit smaller, and like there's like some women that are a little bit bigger, and like all bodies are good bodies. Like kind of that type of dialogue and language I think is helpful. And maybe saying something like, yeah, that's like a really great point. Or like, I like that you called that out, but like, we don't really make comments about other people's bodies.
Yeah.
Like those types of conversations I think would be helpful.
Yeah.
But like, you kind of go into panic. You're like, fuck.
I go to panic because I'm like, I don't want them to feel uncomfortable. I also don't want to like say the wrong thing to Lennox where I'm making him feel like bigger bodies are bad. Like I don't want him to feel like there should be shame around that or even talking about it. But at the same time, I'm like, what do I say?
Yeah, I think it would just be like, yeah, like people come in all shapes and sizes, but we don't really make comments about people's bodies to them. Like something like that.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. I want to talk about censorship and things like that. I kind of want to know, like, because you've been an influencer for how long?
I would say honestly, probably like 10 years.
Okay, that's a fucking long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time. And like professionally, like when I really took it seriously, since 2019, probably 2018, 19.
What do you feel like is your biggest like ick with social media as doing it as your career? Like, what do you see that's like just you hate?
There's a couple things. One, and I have so many friends that are in this space and they do a phenomenal job. They're so good at it. I just hate that everybody is doing the same thing.
Yep.
Though. Everybody is buying $600 worth of free people. They're trying it on. And then they're like, here's my LTK. And like, it feels so like, it just feels overdone. And it feels also really not sustainable. Like that's one thing where I'm just like I love fashion so much, but I also just don't want to encourage people to just constantly buy all the time. So I think that's one thing. And there's no like individuality within it. Like everybody does the same thing to the same sounds it feels overdone. And that's how people get really successful though, because like the algorithm loves that. People love that. And so it's no shame to those creators. My career self is like, I'm not doing that. You know, like I'm going to be different. And I think too, like this censorship of social media is so frustrating. Like I want to talk about important things that happen in the world, and then I get flagged for it being content that isn't allowed or hate speech or all this type of stuff. And I'm like, hello, I'm just trying to bring attention
When it feels selective.
Shit.
It feels like, why is my shit getting flagged, but then somebody else over there isn't getting flagged? It's not consistent.
No, it's not consistent at all. And I don't think that everybody that has a platform needs to talk about life, like big things that are going on in the world. However, I'm someone that believes personally, if I have a big platform, I want to use it for good to share things that are going on in the world, like Palestine or whatever it is. But it's just frustrating that when like someone has a strong opinion about something that differs from like what Meta likes, or it's just, I get flagged. And then I'm at risk of like losing my account and losing like the ability to like do ads and like all that.
Which
shit.
feels like it goes against the fucking amendment of free speech.
Like, yeah.
Like
it's
literally.
It's just rich white men. Like,
yeah.
Conservative rich white men.
What is like okay, so when you post like a strong opinion, because that's also why I love your account, because I think for a while, and this is probably the Aquarius energy too, I was just like, I want to be an influencer. And then I'm like, no, I don't. I don't want to do this because I don't want to post an LTK link. I don't want to push people to like.
It took me so long to get an LTK. My management was like, you need to get one. And I was like, ugh.
Okay, but do you make any money on it?
Like $50. Like maybe every couple months.
That's the thing. Like
because I'm not posting every day, like purchase these 10
I know people
outfits.
who have made bank
people
on
like
LTK.
can make millions.
Yes.
And I'm just like, I can't,
no. And the thing is like, I don't know. I also find myself like, okay, I don't shop at like Zara or Free People. I go to vintage. Yes, I thrift.
So what do you want? Where did you get that? I'm like, I don't know. It's from 10 years ago.
And then I feel like the worst fucking influencer, but I'm like, I don't want to be that type of influencer where I'm influencing you on products. I want to almost like, that sounds like so culty, like influence your mind.
Yeah, no,
you know?
And like, listen, not that I don't do like little clothing hauls and stuff like that, because like, sometimes brands will send me stuff.
Overheated, and Sony, you guys need to get together because this has been happening. But I want to ask you, because you've been in that space for so long. Have you ever like run into an influencer where you're like, oh, you're different than you are?
Yeah, when I lived out in LA, I would definitely go to a lot more like influencer events. Yeah. And I can't like pinpoint any specific one right now, but like there's so many, like, and I have a lot of content creator friends, and we've definitely talked about this, because I will say a lot of my content creator friends are very introverted like myself. And maybe that's why we like kind of vibe with each other. But I've gone to so many events, and listen, I like to take videos, I like to take pictures, but I also like to be fucking present in the moment. And it is so interesting because you'll be at an event and people will be like, hey, like I'm here at blah, 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 like, well, and then the second the camera's off, they're like, and it's like they just like all the personality just like drains from their face. And then like they'll like hey, oh my God. And then it's like, and you're like, wait, what?
You're like, what am I witnessing right now?
And I'm over here being like, would you like mind taking like a video of me? And I'm literally like internally cringing, like, hey, I'm here at this really cool pool party. And then I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's enough. It's enough. Yeah. But it's like, it's very interesting to like see the shift in like personalities of like being really like, happy and smiley, to then like, and then you're like sitting at these fucking dinners and everybody's like editing content. I'm like, can't we just like post when we get home?
Yeah. See, that's my thing too. I feel like if I'm going to be an influencer and show people what the fuck I'm doing, I want to actually experience what the fuck I'm doing so I can go home and tell you about it.
Literally.
Versus like doing it in the moment, because then you're not having an experience.
Literally. I went to this one experience here in Denver. It was like one of those like little pop-up things. It was the bubble experience. Had a great time. It was super fun. I was supposed to like post a reel for them. It was just like a trade opportunity. This is one thing that I like can't fucking stand with brands. It just really pisses me off. I go to the event. The event's at like 7 p.m. Literally that morning at like 10 a.m. They're like, hey, when can we expect the reel? And I'm like, I'm sorry, it hasn't even been 24 hours. Like, they were like, hey, like, we haven't seen, any stories up or whatever. Like, when can we expect the reel? And I'm like, first of all, don't email me.
Yeah, no.
Like, give me at least 48 hours to, like edit the content and upload it.
Do they want a shit quality? Like, do they want to?
And I'm also like, you didn't fucking pay me. Like, if you want something that fucking quick, then you have to pay me for that.
I hate that.
And I ended up posting it. It was fine. And like, I get it. Like, they're getting pressure from whoever to like get that up. But I'm just like, dude, I'm not going to be that influencer that's like posting in real time. One, that doesn't feel safe for me because people are fucking weirdos. And two, like, I want to enjoy the experience.
Yep. I also have a qualm with like the whole, okay, I'm inviting you to this thing for free, but I'm also expecting things of you. Yeah. If you're wanting me to show up for free, you shouldn't even expect a reel. If I want to make a reel, I will. But like, you should not expect that from me. If you want that, pay me.
Yes. That is one thing that like drives me insane. And like, because I have, you know, brands that'll send me stuff. And truthfully, when it comes to like small owned businesses, I'm so happy to share if I really like the product. But I'll have brands that'll send stuff to me like, hey, when can we expect content? I'm like, you can't.
Yeah. Never.
Now that you just asked, I'm definitely not posting you. But it's like this expectation of like, I'm sending you free shit, so post on your platform. It's like, that costs money to do that. Yeah. And it's just this expectation that like somehow you're going to create this like beautiful reel. And so it's like, no, like, and I did so much free work when I was beginning. And so I'm like, no, we're not doing that anymore.
And it's also like, you have an audience who trusts you based on what you share, and you're not just going to throw something up there for free if it's like not a product you actually fuck with.
No. And the brands that are like, hey, we're sending you stuff, we don't expect anything.
Oh my God.
And then I'm like, this is my new favorite, but like, I'm just like, I love this product. Like, I'm like more than happy to share it if I like it, you know?
Do you like though when brands will email you and be like, no strings attached?
Yeah.
You like that? I fucking hate it because I'm like, there is strings attached.
I like it because then I just don't post.
Yes.
And I'm like, and I use a lot of like products for like giveaways or like goodie bags and stuff like that.
Smart,
or like,
actually.
Or like I give it to like my family. Like I just give that shit to my family because it's too much sometimes.
That's smart. I didn't think about that.
But if a brand then reaches out and is like, hey, how'd you like the product? I always say like, if I like it, you know, or whatever, then I'm like, hey, I'd be open to a paid partnership. If you want me to share. Yep. Like, and I'm happy to share like one time or whatever. But like, after that, you can't expect anything from me.
I just remember the first time I got an email with the like, no strings attached. And then like I got 50 emails.
When that happens and I'm like, okay, per the last email.
Yeah.
Like what was, if they're saying no strings attached, then like, you can't expect anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to transition into, have you seen my Should I Give a Fuck series?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I love it.
So I started to do it with this with all my guests. So if you're not familiar, Should I Give a Fuck is where I have you guys write in some situations and happenings that are going on, and then I tell you whether you should give a fuck about them or not. But I'm going to do that with Julia. We're going to do it together.
Ooh, okay.
So I have like a couple. Okay. This one. Okay. My boyfriend couldn't shut up about the new girl at work. Should I give a fuck?
Abso-fucking-lutely. What? What do you mean couldn't shut up about her? I'd literally be like, what you trying to tell me?
Same.
Like, if you're talking about another woman in excess, especially a new woman, red flag. Like, are you attracted to her? Are you, like, it's showing a lot of interest about another woman. And it could be.
For what?
Yeah.
Like, do you want me to be her friend? Like,
Yeah. No, you should give a fuck.
That would really throw me for a loop.
Yeah, I'd be like, okay, do you want me to talk about like the really hot dude at the coffee shop in like detail? Like, yeah.
What do you think she should do?
I would honestly bring it up and be like, hey, I have to be honest. It made me a little uncomfortable that you were talking like extensively about this new girl at work. It made me feel a little bit insecure. Is there something that I need to worry about? Like, just honestly, I'm very upfront with that type of stuff. If you're feeling insecure, I always ask, because either you're going to give me reassurance or you're going to give me a reason to be insecure. Yeah. And like,
I also feel like that's not you, like the girl who wrote this. I do not think that's you like speculating. That is like, why the fuck is he talking about this other girl?
I think sometimes women are afraid to come off like crazy or insecure, and the reality is it's okay to feel insecure. Like 100%. It's okay to feel insecure in your dynamic if someone gives you a reason to. And if your partner really loves and respects you and there isn't anything to worry about, he should have no problem to be like, oh my God, baby, I'm so sorry. Like, no, she was just whatever it is. Like, you have nothing to worry about. Like, if he's going to like reassure you calmly and just give you a reason to not worry. But if he gets like triggered and pissed off and like defensive, I don't know, maybe rethink that one.
I love that answer though, because I think in a world where everybody wants to be the most confident version of themselves, like, I love that you just said it's okay to feel insecure. Yeah. Like, it's okay to be that. It's also okay to ask for reassurance in your relationship. That Absolutely. Is 1,000% okay.
Oh, I do that. Yeah, like, hey, I'm having a really off day. I'm having some bad body image day, or like I'm feeling insecure. Can you like pump me up a little bit more today? Yeah. Like, there's no problem in doing that. Yeah. Like, yeah, that's healthy.
Agreed. Okay. This one is somebody is creating an event. So worried that no one is going to show up to our event. Tell me not to give a fuck and I won't, but I'm worried.
I've literally done workshops, Zooms, whatever, and 2 people came. And listen, the reality is sometimes that can happen.
Yeah.
But those 2 people that came, or if the one person that came, like they're going to be so excited because you're going to have more of like an intimate experience. And then it's just information for you of like, oh, was the price point too high? Oh, or was it free? So people felt it was okay to like not show up when they purchased it. The reality is in my business and being an entrepreneur, I have failed so many times when things didn't work out and I was like slightly embarrassed, but like you pivot. Like I think you are successful in your business if you are failing because you're trying, you're getting out of your comfort zone. So don't give a fuck. Do the event. And if people don't show up, okay, that's okay.
Do you think it for you though, has it more so been like the subject matter, or has it mostly been like, is it free? Is it priced?
It hasn't been the subject matter, I don't think. I think people want to see value in something that they're coming to. So it's like if they don't see the value in that, I personally think one, price point can be too high.
Yeah.
Or free. Like I've had so many people like if it's a free link
just
or
not
whatever,
show up.
They just don't show up because they haven't invested in it.
Yep.
So at least have it be like $5, $10, whatever. So they're like, oh, well, I paid for this.
Yeah.
So
There's
I feel
no
like
stake.
I need it. Yeah,
Yeah.
You don't have a stake in it.
Yeah.
So.
I used to have a membership community where I did virtual events. And I feel like that was always my biggest thing was sometimes I'd get like 2 people and then I'd be like, fuck, should I just cancel this? But then sometimes those 2 people events end up being so great because you get to be more, like you said, intimate. You can go deeper. You can spend more time on each other.
And I would say like have a minimum of like what you feel comfortable having this event run. So it's like, hey, if 5 people sign up, we're still running. If it's less than 5, then we're canceling and like redoing it and picking. And maybe it's the date, maybe it's the time. Like maybe one thing that I found to be helpful is like running surveys of like asking people like, what's the best time for you for the call or whatever to kind of like gauge like people's availability.
Yeah, I like that. And I also think like don't have any shame about inviting your friends. Like,
oh my God,
if you are worried about nobody showing up, like invite everyone you fucking know and make sure they're there.
Absolutely.
Because that's going to help you feel like you can show up better and like turn it on.
And honestly, if there's only a couple people there, I like to think like you can get content to promote the next event and like just kind of like show like what it entails because like people like to see that.
Yes, love. Okay. Last one. This is funny.
Okay.
My sister thinks I'm giving up on life because I've been a server for 1 year.
For 1 year?
I kind of get that though. Like I get that sentiment. I feel like a lot of people feel that way when they go back to serving or when they're serving.
I've never been like, I was like a hostess and like a busser and stuff like that. But like, I never was just like a full on in the service industry.
Yeah.
You can make really good money.
So much money.
Don't feel shame about that. Listen, honestly, yes, I know that like being a server is capitalism, but like maybe you need a fucking break from like the stereotypical 9 to 5.
Yes.
Like I don't think there's any shame in that.
Also, we're in a world where people like need money right now. Like everyone needs money and
everybody's got to make ends meet. And if you're making good money and you're able to like afford the lifestyle that you want by going back to serving for a year, I think maybe it's just if you're feeling like, oh, I don't want to get stuck in this, like have a boundary with yourself. By this time, I want to be done serving and doing what I want to be doing. But like, no, literally do what you need to do to survive.
Yeah. Because I think when people are like giving a fuck, it's because they're triggered by it and they kind of believe what someone's saying. Yeah. So yeah, if you're like, oh, like, am I giving up on life? Totally have a boundary with yourself and be like, okay, maybe I'm going to give this like another year or 2. And then I'm going to be like, put some feelers out there. I'm going to put some applications in.
Or like, hey, did I take this serving job so I could like work on my business like in my free time? And if you're not doing that, then like, then maybe you are disappointing yourself with like these like things that you had set up. But like, maybe it's like, hey, 1 day a week, I'm going to set time aside to like figure out and like dive into what I really want to do. But like, dude, it's hard to make money. Yep. So
know your why. I think if you know your why, you can't be hurt by anything that anyone's saying.
And there's no shame in being a server. Literally, it's like
you make a lot more money than a lot of people. Honestly,
and like every job has like a reason for this society to like. Yes. I don't think there's shame in like any jobs.
No, I agree. So don't give a fuck.
Yeah, don't give a fuck.
Okay, Julia, this was awesome.
So fun.
Can you tell people where they can find you and then also like what's coming up for you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The hat,
hats.
Soft Body Baddie. It should be launching like sometime in August. It's
Love.
going to be cute bucket hats too.
Love.
But you can find me at Fit, Fat, and all that. And if you're ever interested in like trying to figure out your personality and your style,
dark
I know
it just
it's so
got.
dark.
Sorry, I'm just like.
I'm also a wardrobe stylist.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you, Julia.
So fun.
So fun.